hello, and welcome to the Confused Breakfast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
Yeah.
It's hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch, but there was something truly special about heading to Blockbuster, browsing the aisles, picking out a movie by hand, and then faking sick so you can stay home the next day to watch. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. My name is Mike Schulte. Joining me, as always, two dudes who are very popular. The Sportos, the Motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads, they all adore them. They think they're righteous dudes. Sean Pryor and AJ Venz, how the heck are you?
Pretty sick.
Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think.
You know, I felt like I was what you like to call him. I was a floater in high school.
Floater?
You a floater?
Yeah, that's just you're in and out of every group.
You could just go through between any group.
It's part of the reason I dislike Breakfast Club because I'm like, well, why can't you just be? Why do you have to be in that one? Why can't you just do what you want?
Yeah, that movie sucks.
Sucks.
Really don't like it.
It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of terrible movies, boys, on today's episode, we're talking about the movie that made every high schooler dream of faking sick, skipping school, and somehow parading through downtown Chicago without getting caught. It gave us one of the most charming rule breakers of all time, broke the fourth wall before it was cool, and taught us that life moves pretty fast. We're, of course, talking about 1986's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
Well, damn dang it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another nostalgic journey to the past with the Confused Breakfast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy wherever you are in the world. Take it away, boys.
Well, we are in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. That's where we are. Where are you?
Where are you?
Let us know.
You better find out sooner than later.
I hope you know where you're at.
No matter where you are, if you are new to this podcast, this is the time where we tell you we're going to be reviewing Ferris Bueller's Day Off scene by scene with a modern eye. But first, we believe it must be talked about with pure nostalgia. Sean, you seem overly excited about this. Tell us the first time you saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off and what your nostalgic rating is.
I've been hyping this up in my brain for a while now. I picked this one for us to do, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. But the first time I saw it, I was probably around the first time I saw Breakfast Club and all of those kinds of movies. And I was just enamored with it. I think I've mentioned it on the show before, but the parade scene inspired something in me that we'll get to. And yeah, I just thought it was funny. I loved the meta nature of it. I loved Matthew Broderick in it. Yeah, I was so into John Hughes movies around this time while watching them that they were just movies to me. So I'm gonna give this an 8.
8 for Sean. AJ, what about you?
I would have to say, like, watching this movie for the first time was in, like, I would have to say some pretty formative years, because it's like finally reaching a point where you think you're kind of growing up, but then realizing, like, even some ideas and scenarios of, like, high school as they're portrayed in Ferris Bueller kind of creep you out or freak you out. You're just like, I'm not ready to grow up at all.
Not ready for this.
I'm not ready for this whatsoever. But I just remember watching this movie, definitely like network television, but then finally getting to see it from start to finish, like on a VHS. Mm-hmm. And I distinctly remember the VHS cover of this. I think I saw it together with, like, each of my brothers randomly at different times in my life.
Cool.
Too. So, such a great movie, something I revisited constantly, something that was, again, felt very formative for me. And I would give this movie a 9.5 nostalgic.
9.5 nostalgic. Well,
Don't tell me.
No. Okay. It almost fell into the same trap, because we talk about that a lot, where there are these movies in the late 80s where I maybe wasn't old enough to possibly watch, that I skipped over when it first came out. And so we got real close to never seeing this movie, but it's impossible to not have seen this movie at some point in your life.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever actually sat down to watch it from front to back, but I've seen every single scene in this movie at some point in my life. And I was actually ready to give this an NA, but as I watched it, I'm like, I've seen this entire movie, just never in order. So there was something about this movie that I didn't like as a kid and growing up. Every time I saw it, I was just like, yeah, but it's dumb. It's like fourth wall. Like, I don't like that he's talking to us and he thinks he's so cool. Something struck me wrong about it the first couple times I saw this. So I'm quite excited to talk about this from an actual critical perspective, other than who cares? I don't like Matthew Broderick. It's dumb.
Cocky.
It's dumb. Fuck the Red Wings. Go Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Chicago. You're a Red Wings fan? What the hell's going on?
What's going on here?
So I'd actually just give it a pretty average 5.5. We got to go to executive producer Nick Matt. He says, I remember seeing this film for the first time and being blown away at the initial fourth wall break. There I was, just sitting on my couch when Matthew Broderick turns to the camera and starts talking to me. It blew me away, and I felt like I was part of the film and along for the ride from then on. What kid doesn't dream about being on their own with their friends with a dope car, an elaborate setup to convince all adults you're the honest teenager you know you aren't? This film was fun and never took itself too seriously, something writer-director John Hughes was an expert on when it comes to storytelling. Finally, can we at least marvel at the casting of this film? From Broderick and the Charlie Sheen cameo to Jeffrey Jones as the persistent Ed Rooney, each character resembles people we all crossed at one point throughout high school. It all feels just real enough that I found myself smirking along throughout the adventure, nostalgically 7.7.
Dang.
As a group, nostalgically, we are a 6.78. Not terribly too great. Or sorry, 7.68. Let's get that correct here.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, damn. Your 5 whatever rating, bring that down.
Not that much. 7.68 ties this in the 62nd spot with Teen Wolf. And I love that pairing right
okay.
there.
That's a good pairing.
That feels real nice. But we're going to strip it away. It doesn't matter anymore. Forget that we even did that segment.
Yep.
Because it is strictly all about the modern day eye right now. And that's why we go to Sean first. We learn all the important details of the movie. What do you got?
Let's do this. Produced by John Hughes and Tom Jacobson. Music by Ira Newborn. He did 16 Candles along with Hughes, Weird Science. He also did Ace Ventura, Uncle Buck, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Mallrats, and Basketball. Cinematography by Tak Fujimoto. He is back. He did The Silence of the Lambs, The Replacements, and That Thing You Do, among others. Edited by Paul Hirsch. He did A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Dutch. Edited Dutch. Made that a movie somehow. The Secret of My Success.
Time out. I actually forgot that I've seen that movie.
No, right?
I was like, oh, Dutch, we should do that one. We did.
We did.
Oh, wait.
It was so bad.
He also edited The Secret of My Success. I think you're a fan of.
Yeah,
Mike?
dude.
Yeah.
With the Lawrence brothers. They made me watch that. It was awesome.
Hell yeah. And Blowout, which I love. Brian De Palma. Written and directed by John Hughes. Cast: Matthew Broderick, Alan Ruck, Mia Sara, Jeffrey Jones, Jennifer Grey, Sidney Pickett, Lyman Ward, Edie McClurg, Charlie Sheen, Del Close, Virginia Capers, Richard Edson, Christy Swanson, and Ben Stein. On a Thursday in 1985, John Hughes burst into producer Ned Tannen's office and said, "Guy takes a day off from school."
Did he do this? Did he go?
He did this, and then
He flipped his mullet. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And then you see Tim Robbins and flips on the other side. He's like, okay, no, I see what you're saying here. Yeah, yeah. So he takes a day off from school. How old is this guy? Is he?
well, he's in high school. So
He's in high. School.
Oh, you
so
said
it's not
guy.
college.
No,
you
not
said
yet.
guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, not a kid, but he's a kid.
He's a kid. Yeah,
So
he's
it's
like
not
a kid,
an older
like,
guy in. It's just a normal kid.
He
in
just
high
takes a
school.
day off from school.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Scene.
Nice, the player reference. Ned Tannen, realizing that this is a pitch, was intrigued, but warned Hughes that the upcoming writer's strike was 36 hours away from picketing outside of his office. Hughes went home and realized his friend Howard Dutch was there to oversee some rewrites Hughes was going to do for the movie Some Kind of Wonderful. Dutch recalls falling asleep at midnight and Hughes waking him up around 5 a.m. playing music and chain smoking and saying, "Hey, I didn't get to any of the rewrites you wanted me to do, but I wrote this." and he woke him up and told him to read it. What Hughes gave him was the first 50 pages of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. On Friday at 11:50 p.m., John Hughes would turn in the script to Ned Tannen, to which Tannen read it and said, "Let's do it." Literally wrote this in one night.
Insane.
For the titular,
what was he procrastinating on? Like, what was he not doing? You said he was in the middle of a movie.
Oh, he was doing rewrites on Some Kind of Wonderful.
Okay, gotcha.
Which came out after this, I think.
Gotcha.
For the titular character of Ferris Bueller, the production saw just about every young male actor at the time, but in reality, the only two people who were up for the role were John Cusack and Matthew Broderick.
Okay.
He had Matthew Broderick in mind while writing this. John Cusack was great in auditions, but nothing could top the charm of Matthew Broderick. Broderick was a star at the time, having been in several movies and a lot of plays, including Biloxi Blues, where he would win a Tony Award. But he was hesitant on taking the part of Ferris because a lot of his roles already were self-aware and would speak directly to the audience. He felt he could be typecast because of this. His agents urged him to take the role, and he accepted after talking to John Hughes and knowing that Hughes was the man at the time. Alan Ruck, who had auditioned for a role in The Breakfast Club, got the role of Cameron only because Emilio Estevez did turn it down. Alan
he has
Ruck
since regretted that pretty hard, hasn't he?
I read that Alan Ruck, if he ever runs into him, he said he's going to thank him, like to high heaven. Alan Ruck and Matthew Broderick already had great chemistry together anyway, from starring together in the stage play Biloxi Blues, where they became fast friends. At first, Molly Ringwald wanted the role of Sloane, but John Hughes said that part wasn't big enough for his muse, so that role went to Mia Sara instead. Yeah. Meg Ryan auditioned for the role of Jeannie, but Jennifer Grey won out instead. This was Hughes' first film without essentially the Brat Pack, Ringwald, Anthony Michael Hall, all those guys. So he was a bit nervous with his new cast. He couldn't control them, mold them into the actors like he did with the Brat Pack. One day after seeing costume tests, Hughes had a panic attack when he saw all of the actors in the same room, fearing that the chemistry just wasn't there. But after Matthew Broderick made him laugh, Hughes calmed down. He was freaking out, like, because he had made all these movies with this core cast that he had, and this was his first one without them, and he was just kind of like, well, they were like family, and I have to make a new family. This is fucked. Ferris began filming just after Labor Day weekend in 1985, and for the most part was a very joyous experience. The film is said to be Hughes' love letter to his hometown Chicago, which you can feel so much of. Even the cast and crew felt the love on set, with some having never been there before. Mia Sara would recall that coming from New York to L.A. was a bit of a nightmare, but being able to film in Chicago felt like a home away from home for her. There was like talk of that John Hughes could be like a pretty demanding on set, like he was. Him and Matthew Broderick actually kind of butt heads a lot sometimes, but for the most part were pretty cordial together, especially when it came to the scenes of him talking directly to the camera, like while he's at his house and in his room and stuff. They really had fun doing those scenes a lot, but it's said that John Hughes can be pretty kind of angry. He can like if Matthew Broderick wouldn't do like any improv that John Hughes wanted him to do, he would like kind of not talk to Matthew Broderick the rest of the day and kind of pout in the corner a little bit.
I heard a few things like that. That's like I don't like to know these things about John Hughes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like I also heard that Bill Paxton turned down the role of like the parking lot attendant, and then John Hughes never spoke to him again.
Yeah.
Because he turned that role down. Same for Anthony Michael Hall. I guess he was supposed to maybe be Cameron or at least try out for Cameron. He said, "Nah, I don't want to be typecast," and John Hughes never called him again. It's like, kid. I don't like those.
It's just like, it's one of those things. The unfortunate thing is, he was just, I think it comes off the wrong way. He was such a moody guy, unfortunately. And I think that his own anxieties are what caused that, not in a bad way, but he's like
trying to be that way. But
it's like, it's probably more along the lines of like, they probably don't want to work with me anymore.
They broke my heart.
So, they probably don't want to work with me anymore. It's not the other way around.
No, they're outgrowing me.
They're outgrowing me.
Yeah.
And so now I shouldn't even bother. That kind of crap.
Okay, well, let's just go with that.
Yeah.
All right.
The first cut of the film did not work at all. The test screenings were not going well, and even the cast and crew screenings, people were left feeling like they made a piece of shit. Like none of them laughed. Hughes and editor Paul Hirsch took 2 weeks to rework the scenes in the film and essentially saved Ferris. Originally, the order of the scenes in the movie were not right. The parade scene happened before the restaurant and Wrigley Field scene, for example, where in the re-edit, Hughes and Hirsch knew that was the strongest scene and had to end their day off. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was released June 11th, 1986, and on a budget of $5 million, the film made $70.7 million at the box office and is said by many to be one of John Hughes' best films and one of the greatest teen films of all time.
Real quick, just to keep you updated on from 1983 to 1986, what John Hughes had his hand in. Mr. Mom, National Lampoon Vacation, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, European Vacation, Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh,
That's
man.
it.
There's
That's
no
all
80s.
That's all he did.
No 80s movies without John Hughes. No, like a lot of the culture, even I think, would be different without John Hughes.
Yep.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sean. Up next, we got to go to AJ. He does the research for us, gives us what the critics and fans thought and all their ratings and reviews. What do you got, dude?
Pardon my French, but Cameron is so tight that if you stuck a lump of coal up his ass in 2 weeks, you would have the tomato meter.
Gross.
It's a pretty good one, right?
Wanted to do some more hand motions for this one.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
83% certified fresh.
Of all the movies we've done, tied with Big Lebowski and Heat,
Damn.
per the critics.
Wow. Okay.
Triple feature.
Well, 92% from the popcorn meter. 7.8 from IMDb.
Of all the movies we've done, tied with Ghostbusters, The Goonies, and The Sandlot.
Damn.
Just bangers.
Fuck yeah.
Just a bunch of 7.8s hanging out in a room, being buds.
Yep.
All right.
Kind of like us, huh?
Yeah, kind of like us. You
Yeah.
know,
We're
I'd say-
7.8.
I'd
Yeah.
say we
Yeah, dude.
we might average out to like a 7.8.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we do.
You know what? Not 5 stars. 7.8. Whatever that. Like
Yeah.
that's like a 4.5.
7.8 out of 5. We're
Yeah.
good.
It's a C plus. So
Oh yeah.
how about it, guys? We've got Marjorie Baumgarten.
I love her.
Marjorie.
Marge Baumgart.
When people think fondly of John Hughes, it's movies like Ferris Bueller's that they're going to be thinking of. Perfect. That was an 89 out of 100. The Globe and Mail from Toronto. This is the funniest teen movie I've seen in eons. Thanks. Brad Laidman. He is from Film Threat. This is John Hughes' best teen film, and it's a call to arms to everyone in the world who doesn't want to follow society's lame-ass rules at the expense of living a cool life. Word, dog.
Amen.
Roger Ebert, he said the film's heart is in the right place, and Ferris Bueller is slight, whimsical, and sweet. That was a 75 out of 100.
Oh, I thought there was a butt coming in there.
But TV Guide magazine said 40 out of 100. The story and pacing of this offbeat comedy wears thin after the first 20 minutes. Gotcha. All right. Julie Solomon, Wall Street Journal, 0 out of 100.
You can't. You're not. Go ahead.
If I could give it a 0, if I could give it negative, I would.
If I could give it -1, I totally would.
What do you have to say for yourself?
One of the least appealing movies I've seen in a while. When a member of the audience belched loudly, that got the biggest laugh of the day.
That's funny.
Full.
That got the biggest laugh.
Well,
It is funny.
I mean,
there's not really like laugh out loud moments in this movie.
Sure.
yeah, man.
We'll get
Somebody said this. I'll put this one out there first. Okay. This is there's a 6.10. I'm not going to read the actual review, but just to put it in people's brains, this is a theory. Cameron fever dreamed everything.
there. Yeah.
Oh, weird. Never heard that one.
I don't think I've ever heard that one before. Here we go. How about some 1 out of 10s here, guys? 1 out of 10. Kim, 284, because there's 283 Kims already, said, how do people root for a con artist? This is in 2024.
All right.
I could barely watch 10 minutes of this drivel
Drivel.
that celebrates delinquency. Here his sister is going to school and doing things right, and their parents drop the hammer on her. The scammer con artist gets away with everything. Wish his sister had blown the whistle on him when she caught him in the web of lies. Ferris is a prime example of what is wrong in society. He ditches school, lies about being sick, and cons everyone to the point of some poor idiot is trying to take up a collection for his worthless ass. It seems the only person who knows the truth about this loser is his sister, and no one believes her. So sad.
I mean,
Seems like Kim has a way cooler older brother to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How people think this movie is one of the greatest of its time is beyond me. It was 10 minutes I will never get back.
so you didn't watch the whole thing. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I could barely watch 10 minutes of it. But you must have watched more of
Nope,
it
did not.
than the 10 minutes that you say.
No, it took her 10 minutes to actually put that thought on a piece of paper because she's an idiot.
Fair enough. Pretty gross how many people like this, said she is a snake. So basically, Ferris is a rich boy from the suburbs who takes advantage of his family and friends and treats everyone around him like crap. He's selfish and rude and totally irresponsible. I cannot believe that this movie is worshipped by a generation that calls younger people entitled.
These last two were written in 2020 plus, right?
Yes.
Yep.
That was a
There you go.
2021.
Yep. Yep. Times have changed. We have entered the alternate universe and things are just different now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Somebody also said, since when is there a parade on a school day? Fair
A
enough.
big parade.
I'll leave it at that. Mr. Rooney's day off is what somebody else called this. Juan Valdez. I just watched this piece of garbage because some dude decided to put it in some of 100 best films of all time list. And let me tell you that I have never encountered a main character as insufferable as Ferris.
All right. All right.
Why on earth does he need to take a day off? He's just a spoiled rich kid that is already absented from school 9 times. Are we really supposed to see Mr. Rooney as a villain? We'll get there. He's only doing his job, for God's sake. We'll get there. But then the movie turns out to just be a slapstick punching bag in the scenes where he tries to get into Ferris's house. I absolutely hate this movie. And alongside The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, it really shows how John Hughes tried to be the hip kid even when he was totally disconnected from reality. No, I think he's pretty well involved in reality. I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah.
This last person, 10 out of 10, love movies from the 80s. This is in 2025. I grew up in the 80s. And these films are movies you can watch multiple times and still enjoy them. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is very entertaining. I'm sure teens can relate to some of the shenanigans in this film, and so can some adults. Great, thanks.
Sick.
It's fine. I'm going to give you actually a little excerpt from this 8 out of 10. Fantasy, but subtly realistic. IMDb fan, 2,200,000,000, whatever. when your name is IMDb fan on IMDb, I kind of love that.
Yep.
So March 10th, 2025. This is pretty darn recent, guys. Most men will recommend this film because they are reminiscing of their glory days or because they think they are Ferris. But they're all wrong. Yes, this film is an indicator of better days, more free times when one could skip school for almost no reason and get away with it. But most men are not Ferris like they think. As a woman and as someone who heavily relates to Cameron and has a close loved one with the same name, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is not about the freedom of the 80s or the fun of youth, but a fantasy about letting go of one's anxieties and just allowing oneself to go with the flow. To have fun despite any hang-ups you have and facing the consequences later. Watching this film reminds me that it's okay to just say yes sometimes. Just allow myself to be open and have a good day in spite of what may come later. Thanks.
I mean, we're getting there already, but I can tell you that most men probably relate more to Cameron.
Yeah, I think so.
I relate to Rooney.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
I'll skip through a bunch, but the film isn't perfect by any means. Not too profound on an outward level or super artistic, but it's fun. And sometimes fun is what we need.
Hey, all right.
Gee, thanks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've made a bold choice today. Instead of going to work, doing chores, attending school, or paying bills, you chose us. You chose to fake sick, Throw on a bathrobe and spend your day with three grown men dissecting a 1986 teen comedy in order to get clout on the internet. Today we live like Ferris. No responsibilities, no guilt, no Cameron whispering I'm dying. We're eating pancreas at fancy restaurants, crashing parades, and joyriding in a priceless Ferrari we have no business touching. And if you don't stop and listen to this podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Let's break it down scene by scene. Here we go.
Here we go.
So on scene one spring day, high school senior Ferris Bueller fakes an illness to stay home from school 2 months before his graduation, regularly breaking the fourth wall. His parents, Katie and Tom, believe he is ill, though his sister, Jeannie, does not. After learning Ferris is absent from school for the 9th time that semester, the school's dean, Edward Rooney, becomes determined to expose Ferris's schemes. Ferris persuades his best friend, Cameron Fry, to help excuse Ferris's girlfriend, Sloane Peterson, from school. Cameron calls the school pretending to be Sloane's father.
Right off the bat, this performance by Matthew Broderick is, I think, maybe his best. I think that there's no one else that could be cast in this role. I could maybe see John Cusack do a good job with this.
Sorta.
I get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
I bet he did do really great in the auditions.
Yeah.
But this is the right choice.
Matthew Broderick needed to be this guy at this time, at this age, where I wouldn't have wanted Matthew Broderick in like High Fidelity.
Yeah.
You know, like
absolutely.
they had their different times where they could be this guy.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, you know, this is my Matthew Broderick. And the problem is I have such a hard time like post Ferris Bueller Matthew Broderick half the time
because of this.
Because this is so good. And like he was nervous about maybe being typecast or something, or like he had some reservation, but it's like I feel like he got typecast in the wrong direction after this, almost to a degree. Like this is where he's like he's clever, he's edgy, he's ahead of the curve. Whereas like we see him in like Election and what are some other ones? But
Cable Guy.
What's that?
Cable
Guy. You know, where he's like
he's unlikable in almost everything he did after this.
Yeah, like he's unlikable.
The character is
in a not fun way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that's the bummer for me. But in this, it's like he does this so well, and I just want so much more of this type of stuff from Matthew Broderick. Even now,
it's like his micro mannerisms, like in just his face.
Yeah.
Are so good. Like even this, like where his parents come in and he's like, "Papa, is that you?"
Like when he clicks his teeth. He
goes,
like, it's
what
like
the fuck is that?
I don't know, but it's
Jeannie.
It's like,
Jeannie, is that you?
Is that you?
I can't see that far. Jeannie, I
don't know what I hated about this as a kid, but I'm watching this whole intro with him just being like, oh, now I get it. I don't know what it was that was clouding me watching that first part.
Yeah.
But this is so good.
And then like there's movies that have done this before, like the fourth wall breaking, but they all leave the room and he looks straight at the camera and says, "They bought it." It's so fucking good, and then the movie just takes off.
Yeah.
You know.
Is this one of the first movies that really did this? That popularized it?
Probably popularized. I mean, like, you know, Deadpool and all those fucking movies do it now. You know, every movie has and literally I think the creators of the Marvel universe credit this movie as having end credit scenes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
like this is a movie that it does such a great job of it just seems very smartly aware of itself. Like I think about other John Hughes and stuff. I think about like Uncle Buck or Christmas Vacation, and it always starts out with just kind of this nice buildup of like music and tone and vibes, right? But this comes in and there's just nothing.
No.
It's just not much. You don't really hear much of anything. I think like you hear like some radio or something like that or whatever it is. But then it just like comes in and it's just like, Bob, yeah, what's wrong? He's like, and then it's just like a still on him. There's no music. There's nothing there. It's just
That's
what happens.
Not typical of his.
It's not. So it's just very fresh from John Hughes. I feel like, and you feel that I think even today. And I really enjoy it. And I'll say this again. I've said this about other John Hughes movies. He does what is probably one of my favorite things in movies is he starts where he finishes where he starts.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it is Ferris in bed.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it so much. It's such a great just we're right back to where we started, and obviously we'll get there, but him waking up and just jumping up and be like, they bought it, and walking through how you do it.
Yeah.
I thought this was genius.
It's
The
as a
faking
kid, this
sick,
is your favorite thing.
oh my God, yeah. I mean, like even
You're taking notes at this point, like it's fucking class.
like when I first watched this movie, well, obviously a scene coming up later made me think this, but I'm like, movies can do this.
yeah,
You know, like this is one of the first movies I watched where I'm like, oh fuck, like
You mean like not only breaking the fourth wall, but then putting text on the screen?
text on the screen, or like it's just what the parade scene is.
Yeah.
It just blew my fucking mind as a kid. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine seeing this as like a. I'm sure the average audience going to see Ferris Bueller's Day Off are John Hughes fans, Matthew Broderick fans, whatever, what have you. But they probably weren't privy to movies that they've watched having broken the fourth wall, and just to have this right off the bat and be like, no, this is what this movie is going to do to you,
yeah.
Ferris is going to walk you through this, I mean, it's we'll get more into it, but like the main character of Ferris Bueller really not going through a change whatsoever in this movie at all as far as a character, and it's literally just he's a vessel for the story itself.
Yeah. We're not following him for like this big story arc. There's none. He gets up, does what he wants, and goes to bed.
Yeah.
With zero repercussions.
That's exactly what that's the most simple way of putting what his character is.
But then thus affecting every single other person around him in a different way.
He's the X Factor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we very rarely ever get him as get the X Factor as the main focal point kind of thing. It's usually something on the side, like a John Bender.
You could argue Bender, yeah.
Yeah.
But he kind of goes
is-
through a change.
Is Ferris Bueller the main character of this movie?
Well, yes.
But is he though?
I argue that he is because he's the titular character. I mean, like,
But take that away from it. I mean, is he the one that is the most important catalyst to this story? Like the one that we're following closely? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
He is the main character in my mind. I think Cameron, who does go through a change, obviously, is the vessel for the audience.
Okay.
Whether, like I said, Matthew Broderick.
We can't be Ferris, but we can be Cameron.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we can take stuff from Ferris and we can have him guide us along throughout the story. But yeah, we're mostly going to be Cameron.
Some great cuts on this and like the dialogue when he's going through the faking sick thing, and he goes, "Yeah, I know it's all a little bit phony, but so is high school."
Yeah, I love
just
it.
the way he delivers that, and then even I can assure you he is a very sick boy. Cut to never had one lesson. Like just brilliant cuts and dialogue to just keep this story moving along in these first 10-15 minutes.
these are the moments too where you're talking about. I know you mentioned some of the ad-libbing John Hughes wanted out of Matthew Broderick, and like, but hindsight now, Matthew Broderick has given him a lot of praise of John Hughes of knowing when to get it.
Yeah.
And especially like when he was in the shower and stuff, like when he's going to sing Dankeschön, right? He's like, singing Dankeschön in the shower was not supposed to be a thing. Dankeschön, no, you tore your dress, what a mess. That kind of thing. Not supposed to be it. He's like, hey, save it for the camera, kid. He told him to save it because don't just get all warmed up. This isn't a warm up, but we want that.
Yeah.
Same thing with the clarinet. Never had one lesson. Like, that's all improv. He saw that prop on set, and he's just like, he grabbed it and they filmed it, and then never had one lesson was an improv by Matthew Broderick. So it's like he knows when to get this and like when it's necessary and when he wants it, and that says something about a director, and especially when you're working with somebody who's new that who's probably a little nervous to be working with.
He says he does it he like saves it for like the last take almost, where I think he's got a quote, John Hughes, where he says, I have all these actors on set. I have all this crew. I have Tak Fujimoto lighting this beautiful set. I want to have fun a little bit. We'll follow the script that I wrote, but I also want to fuck around a little bit. So just do whatever on this take.
Yeah.
And they'll move on after, you know.
Yeah.
You wonder if that's some of those moments, like continuing on this, when he's playing that stupid ass keyboard synthesizer with the cough noises, but that shot when it's on his back and he goes and just turns around real quick and smiles, and it's and it's a cut. Like, you don't need to do that, but it works so perfectly amazing in the visual of this story.
It's incredibly naturalistic.
Yes.
Matthew Broderick has it down
still
to
there?
a T. Asking him to do this, like Matthew Broderick, and like now that you brought it up, now I can't get it out of my brain, so I have to say it. I have to put it out in the ether. Is like Matthew Broderick is like the personality of Deadpool. It's like where it came from, and I like you can't convince me otherwise.
Okay.
That this is what
that Ryan Reynolds didn't watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off 75 times as a kid.
I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
Like it's
okay.
And then they obviously they made the joke at the end of the original the first Deadpool movie. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go. Like they do that same damn thing.
Same thing.
But it's so great. There's such a naturalism to Matthew Broderick in this that you just don't get in some of his other performances. Like and by the way, it's the fact that like we look at Ferris Bueller as kind of such a mature, even though he's doing the most childish thing ever in skipping school, right? We look at him as this very mature person because, you know, people in the 80s just looked older. But we think about it, and he cannot get off the fact that he doesn't own a car. And it's so funny every time he brings it up. He's like, they could be fascist anarchists for all I care. It still wouldn't change the fact that I don't own a car. It's just him just working that in is so funny as a reminder that he is just a high school kid.
Just a high school kid.
And I love that.
Well, he makes us buy it too, especially like the act of skipping school. You know, he makes us believe in it. Well, no matter your morals, obviously, you know, a rebellious
he has
kid
to skip school.
Yeah,
of course he
it's
does.
such a beautiful day. How can I be expected to go to school on
a day like this? And it just shows clouds,
and even
small
just
clouds.
And that's
Ding,
it. I mean, like, yeah, you want to be there for that because it's a fucking great
It looks
day.
great.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
how
a
could I
bluebird
go to
day,
school? And like his quote, like life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and take a look around, sometimes it could pass you by. You know,
Miss it.
that is like what you should take from this movie, 100%. Obviously, we'll get more into that, but you guys want to get into Cameron?
Yeah, I do want to talk about Cameron.
Okay.
I will tell you this, and I'd love for you to explain me differently. Probably one of the reasons I did not necessarily like this movie ever was that I never liked Cameron.
Okay.
Cameron always was just like, ugh.
It's because he wore a Red Wings jersey.
No, it had nothing to do with that. Which, by the way, I have a theory on that. I think that assuming Cameron's dad was probably a very gigantic Blackhawks fan, this was Cameron like not getting in his dad's face, but kind of like being like, look, I wear this Red Wings
I like
jersey.
that.
And also, the Red Wings back then were very much an underdog shit team.
Okay.
We don't think about them that way, but they were very bad. So he's representing the losers.
So he not only is Cameron kind of a down on his luck, losery kind of a guy, like hypochondriac,
Yes.
but he's also loves the losery
he's
team of the
supporting a
league.
terrible hockey team. Stevie Yzerman had just gotten drafted a couple years before this, and very soon this team will make a gigantic turnaround into the Red Wings we knew of the 90s, but
At this
point, they are a terrible hockey team.
I read that
That's
Gordie
hilarious.
Howe is one of John Hughes's like heroes.
Nice.
So that's
Oh,
the
really?
reason John wanted Cameron to be wearing the
Okay.
jersey. But yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
what do you guys think about Cameron?
I love Cameron. I
Well-
especially think that like Alan Ruck's performance of Cameron is like literally award worthy.
This is
I think
another.
he's fantastic in this.
It's another situation. It's parallel to Matthew Broderick for Alan Ruck,
Yeah.
and I feel like he's gotten cast not poorly or anything. Like he always plays roles very well, but he's just gotten cast to a point that it's like gets cast in unlikable roles after this.
Speed.
You know, yeah, but, there's just so many of them, like where he plays like political kind of guys,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like suit kind of guy,
He's kind of unlikable. Like,
Yeah.
he can play that role.
But in this, I think he's very likable. Actually, like looking back now.
Yeah, I agree. like mannerisms and everything, especially once he does get to Ferris's house in the prank calling, or pretty much what he does, is so funny. The characters he does and everything. I think he just plays it really well. But I also think it's really realistic in the way that too, where it's like I've felt like this so many times, and I still do. You know, where I'm just like I can't be like Ferris. You know, I can't be like so free spirited like that. Like I got so much to worry about. You know, and I think he plays that aspect really well, and that where we find out like it's mostly from his dad makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you know,
this moment of him just being in bed and stuff, like, and it's like it cuts to him. And by the way,
let my Cameron go.
Pardon my French, but it's like the cutbacks are just really great, and then by the way, the first scene you really see of Cameron is his hand dipping down to stop the machine. Do you know whose that hand that actually is?
Mm-mm.
It's John Hughes' hand.
Oh, really?
Because they couldn't get the shot right.
They couldn't get the shot right. He wanted.
Fuck it, I'll do it.
And he says, fuck it, we'll do it. I'll do it later. And basically, the whole crew went home. He flipped on the cameras, pointed it exactly how he wanted it, and got under the covers and put his hand out and turned the machine. And that is like, that's kind of his Kubrickness, if you will, if I'll call it anything. His attention to detail of how he wants things a specific way. But thank God, because that scene to me is very, very particular. He also has this moment of like how he just kind of shoots around the room while conversation's going on, showing the pill bottles, showing like that above shot of him, the blankets, like all that. I just love it so much.
Yeah, like, I mean, you're right with his like sort of attention to detail, because he would ask like Broderick and Alan Ruck and all of his actors the same thing of like, oh, I like that little smirk you do. I want you to do that exactly right here. It's like that's harder to do as an actor than you think. I would imagine, because like telling me to do a specific facial tick that I have no idea that I even do. I can't practice it, so I can't do it on command, you know? So it's that kind of shit, but I get it too. I get it like, no, I want that because that means this little bit of thing, this little bit of story on your face right there telling the audience, you know?
Yeah.
Here's a good time to interject this. I know what most people are thinking. They're like, oh, Mike's going to have fun with the fan theories on this one because, you know, Cameron, it's all in Cameron's brain or it's all in Ferris' brain. But believe it or not, I'm not going to go down that road. I have an even better one for later, but it is a fun way to think about this movie that Cameron indeed is sick in bed throughout this entire movie with a fever dream, and he's envisioning the world around him on his friends or possibly made up people, whatever, making things happen around him, helping him change, and vice versa. You can think about it as Ferris never got out of bed that day, because everything that happens is completely fantastical.
Yeah.
And everything's so perfect, and these things would never happen. That you could view it as him just thinking this in his brain. We're not gonna today, but it is a fun way to think about it. And I know a lot of people do. This one actually works.
Yeah. Okay.
If you really want to think about it.
The one you got, or
no, these.
Yes.
I know you can say it's a dream in every movie, but in this one, you got a legitimate case for these. I think you really do.
I think you're right. Yeah, and it is fun to think about. Why not?
It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, like case in point, the fact that like that he has a conversation with Ferris. He's like, he's like, take some Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah.
He's like, get over here. He's like, I'm tired of this crap, man. And he says, and they hang up.
He hangs up and Cameron goes,
dying.
Yep.
You're not dying. You just can't think of anything good to do. It's just like those are the moments.
Those are the moments where you can be like, all right, I see what you're doing there. But it's also there. It could also be seen as he's so damn predictable that Ferris knows exactly what he's saying.
Of course, yes.
I've been sitting in the room while he said that to himself before.
Yeah.
He said it out loud when I've been around him.
It's an every other Wednesday thing. He does this every other Wednesday.
He does this every
And I totally
Friday.
believe that. And I don't think Cameron's sick whatsoever.
No.
I think he's just miserable.
He's faking this hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Completely. He's not sick.
Yeah, you get to a point where if you're so stressed, depressed, anxiety-ridden, like it will make you sick. The brain is a powerful thing, right? Cameron is caught in the throes of this to just the umpteenth degree.
Yeah.
So it's just it's funny to watch, and again, it is the moment. It's just these moments of like cutting back to him singing, "If Cameron was in Cameron land, let my Cameron go," sitting in his car.
It's so good.
She's gonna keep calling me. Keep calling me. Keep calling me.
Even that same shot, but he's
Yes,
out
I
behind
love
the
it.
car.
Is the best shot of the movie, in my opinion, is him, and he
Out
gets
of
out.
focus in the
Yes.
back.
He gets out of the car, and then he comes back in. He's just him walking back, and you see it from the point of view of the car, and just him just jumping up and down, just being pissed.
I love how he stays on it. Like as he goes inside, he then cuts to the car, and Cameron's not coming into frame yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know exactly what's going to happen. You know, just
Yeah.
by that cut, you know he's probably going to come back, but you don't know he's going to freak out right there. You know?
Like, is that where do you give credit to that? Do you give that to John Hughes or Tak Fujimoto or like
Paul Hirsch, the editor.
Paul, the editor
Yes.
himself? Okay,
100%.
It's like, hey, but he getting this shot though.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, who would think to just get the shot that way, or did they just keep the camera rolling? It makes me think they kept the camera rolling as like a B shot, and then they're like, "Oh, what's this? Oh, this is fucking great." And then your editor is just a
Yeah.
genius. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Well, let's go on to scene 2. So Ferris and Cameron take his dad's vintage Ferrari to pick her up. Knowing Sloane is dating Ferris, Rooney releases her, but he's still very suspicious. Ferris, Cameron, and Sloane arrive in downtown Chicago and leave the car with 2 parking attendants who promptly take it on a long joyride. The trio eat lunch at an upscale restaurant, visit the Art Institute of Chicago, go to a Chicago Cubs baseball game.
Now, this makes me the saddest I've ever been in my life, I think, while watching this, because I think Jeffrey Jones is probably every movie that I see him in, I love him so fucking
He's
much.
one of the best like villains in every movie he's in.
Yes, Ravenous, he's so good in, and it's man.
Beetlejuice, Who's
Yes.
Harry Crumb. He's just in all these roles where you're like, that guy's the best bad guy
What a
ever.
fucking bummer that he's a shit fuck. In real life. you
To
know.
anybody that didn't hear our Beetlejuice episode, or you saw the movie and wondered why isn't Jeffrey Jones in there? He's pretty gross apparently, and he's on the sex offender registry. That's kind of all you really need to know. That happened back in 2002. Hasn't really done anything since.
We're gonna acknowledge it here and just talk about his character from now on because it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, we're not talking about the man. We're
Yes.
talking about his not his personal life, his movie. Everything he's doing today is incredible.
His work.
Consider the separation of artist to art.
Yes.
Please and thank
there
you.
you go. You've been warned.
But Ed Rooney. Ed Rooney.
Let's call him Ed Rooney.
Yes.
Ed Rooney.
Okay, I like that better.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Ed Rooney is maybe he is. Now, here's a fun, let's do a crossover real fast. Ed Rooney is the principal. Like the principal of this school. I think that Vernon is the dean of students, the vice principal.
Okay.
Because it's Shermer High.
Shermer High.
It is. Yep.
And it's basically the same era.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dick
Or-
Vernon was
Vernon was forced to retire. He did some crazy shit the following year.
Yeah,
Just
like-
lost his marbles.
you see it on his little placard.
Yep.
He is the vice principal. He's not the principal.
Yeah.
And Rooney is the principal. So that's my thing. That's my theory out there. Putting it out there for anyone. Just saying.
It's not even a theory. It's just fucking canon.
The
Dude.
year after Breakfast Club, he became principal because Ed Rooney lost his mind after this, obviously.
Checks out.
Yep.
And Vernon then became the interim principal of the school, but then did such a good job, became principal.
Checks out.
Yeah.
His reactions to and between him and Edie McClure.
So good.
I don't know if you
Grace.
could put a better comedy duo on the screen if you tried.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Ed, you sound like Dirty Harry right there. Really?
Really?
Thank you, Grace.
Maybe the best comedy bit of this whole movie.
He's just like,
Squints his eyes.
thank you, Grace.
Maybe the best comedy bit of this whole movie is his run by the classrooms. sprint, sprint, sprint,
Yes.
walk. Sprint, 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 walk.
I laughed my ass off.
And they kept it just long enough for me to be like, holy shit, this is funny. 'Cause
What a
we've all
performance.
done that in school. We've all done that in school.
Dude, and by the way, like again, we got to talk about this because Ed Rooney wasn't supposed to be like a through character. I don't believe through this movie. They added a lot of stuff between Jeff Jones and John Hughes. They added these moments for him.
Oh, that's great.
And kind of these chase down moments. He was kind of supposed to be more of like it was like the opposite of John Lovitz in A League of Their Own. They added for him to kind of like be a through line in this and kind of be an antagonist. And I think that's pretty genius. Like it was probably supposed to be done by the time Sloane left school, I bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but to watch him like throughout this movie is like you don't want him to win and you don't want him to be right because as a kid you're rooting for Ferris because down with the man and the man is the principal. But in this you're just like Rooney's not like he's not in the wrong here. He's just beyond pissed off.
He's just going too far.
And he is going too far.
Well, he's like Cameron in a way where he's like, why are you worrying about this right now? man?
Yeah.
Why are you really giving a shit about this?
Who cares? How
Yeah.
does this affect your job?
Yeah, exactly. Just govern all these other students. You don't have to worry about just this one.
That's
Fuck 'em.
very true.
Right? It's like, why are you so hell bent on this? And he kind of gives his explanation. He's like, this is what's wrong, like with kids. Like people can't be looking up to Ferris Bueller.
That's very true.
And it's like, no, you're probably right again, man. But you need to do this. You need to do better. You are an adult still.
But so let me ask you this: if this is he out of the picture completely and not suspicious? If he takes Sloane out to the porch, and he lets her go, she walks down. If they had just gotten in the Ferrari and left without making out and peeling out and driving fast, he has at this point assumed that everything is fine, right? They make it feel like he thinks this is true now because of the phone call stuff and like, oh shit, I messed up. Sloane's dad. No, this is actually real. This is actually Sloane's dad. But because they make out and peel out, he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's all they had to do.
That family.
Disgust. Not the reaction I would have.
No.
But yeah, like these fucking high schoolers, all they had to do was just wait 5 seconds and they would have been home free without him following them around.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ferris's recklessness.
Yes.
That is again putting them in, the predicament of it, like or prolonging this suspicion because he's just being reckless with it. He's just peeling out. Like, what are you doing?
He's also just a terrible friend.
I think he knows that he's gotten away with it already.
Yeah.
I think he knows that like the things that he set up back at his home, like the recordings and everything like that. I think he's like, well, this is one little last kind of fuck you to sorry, what's his goddamn name? Rooney. Just kissing her right in front of him, like that's kind of crazy. One line that is my favorite from Rooney this whole movie, I have to say, is he's walking Sloane out and he's like, I had a grandmother once. Two, actually.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
I love that shit so much. And one more thing before we move on from like the high school is in what way that guy is Del Close, the godfather of improv.
Who are you talking about?
He's the teacher in Sloane's class when she gets removed. That's
He's like
Del
the
Close.
English teacher or whatever.
In what?
He says prison and he has to like make a prison out of the word.
Yeah. That's the godfather of improv, Del Close.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then you got Ben Stein, who I read that they basically said, the script basically said, hey, we need you to do the Bueller thing. We need you to go through 5 names that have the word Adam in them first and then get to Bueller. But then he goes, just bore the students to death with real economic lectures that you know about.
Yeah.
Because that dude's freaking smart. So he just started talking. And the whole anyone we've all had teachers like
he
that.
gave a legitimate economic
It was a legitimate
lecture.
and I had a teacher that did the same thing that kept going anyone? No. You know that you would kept asking him to like
Tariffs.
fill in, or even when he goes the something
Yeah.
DOO voodoo.
something DOO voodoo economics, and it raised or lowered which one raised tariffs, which had a
Bed-Stuy,
which
man.
had a positive or a negative effect on the economy. It did not work.
Their
Did
look
it
on
work?
their faces.
It's so good.
Oh,
The guy
my
drooling.
God.
And like, you could hear the screech he makes on the chalkboard at one point that wakes the kid up. It's just, dude.
I love
it's
when he's calling the names before he gets to Ferris.
Adamovsky.
Yeah.
Every word has Adam in
The
it.
the guy in the back is like kind of says here quietly. He's like Adamovsky here.
Here.
Just fucking god damn it.
But at the same time, I was just like, we didn't say it the first time, Dick. Because I didn't hear him. I never heard him say it.
He was only supposed to be like a voiceover.
Is that right?
Yeah, and like you know they were probably going to be just showing the students and just have his voice.
Yeah.
And not have to film him, but they John Hughes is like a friend of his and had him come on board. Like that dude's been around. He wrote speeches for Nixon and
It was hilarious.
yeah. Well, I guess if you like,
Well, that
if
was
you think
hilarious.
that's fun, yeah.
That was.
My best friend's sister is going with the guy who also knows Ferris. Is the girl he's with says he saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. I guess
Christy
it's pretty
Swanson.
serious. Thank you, Simone.
Did you catch on all the license plates?
Nervous on the Ferrari.
But the rest of them, VCTN was on the moms. TBC was on Jeannie's. MMOM was on
Yeah.
Tom's. Rooney's had 4FBDO. I thought for sure, since mom was a real estate agent, I thought VCTN was like evicting, like she was evicting renters from their places or something like that. But that didn't make sense to me. VCTN, you got it?
Vacation?
Yeah. VCTN was vacation.
Oh.
TBC's The Breakfast Club. Mom was Mr.
Mr. Mom.
And then 4 Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 4 FBDO. So he put all his movies on the license
Holy
plate.
shit.
Yeah.
The one that I noticed most particularly was his dad's license plate was the M Mom. And I never put it
Mr.
together
Mom.
until you just started noting them off one by one.
And then nervous, of course, is just nothing. That's
Yeah.
just-
Yeah.
It's just
It's just
that's
his
just
dad, his
Cameron.
dad is nervous. Cameron and his dad are both nervous.
Yeah, that's very fair.
That's really cool. I never noticed that.
I don't want to gloss over the prank phone calling.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to do that because it's such an iconic scene, and it's maybe it was the rewind scenes for me
yeah.
as a kid of watching and be like to watch Alan Ruck as Cameron
Pretty good.
drop into this. Well, we've had a spot of bad luck this morning. Some family business we're gonna have to do. So if you wouldn't mind excusing Sloan. I'd
Just,
appreciate it.
Roll her on out here, and that's our policy now.
Produce a casket.
Produce a body.
Produce
and,
a body.
We'll let her on out.
Oh, is that right?
That's actually
Is that your mom? It's like, oh, no, my wife's mother. It's like,
What the hell is the matter with you?
dude, it's just like, I'm sorry, Ed, did you say you wanted to see a body? Yeah, just roll her own bones down here, and we'll excuse Sloan, no problem. It's like school policy now. Oh.
Oh.
It's so
Well, I
genius.
should say
though.
you do. Go ahead.
No, it's so genius though because like of how perfectly well thought out the gag is, right? Because
Yes.
Ferris knows he's going to call Mr. Peterson, so he's preventing the phone call to Mr. Peterson by having Cameron do it.
Yeah.
But then he knows that he's not going to fall for it, so then he follows it up with the trick into having it thinking it's him. It's
Timing
just
it perfectly.
the
obviously.
perfect timing. It's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mr. Rooney, sorry to bother you at work, but I'm just feeling very good today, so I just wanted to see if you could send any assignments home with my sister. That'd be great. Thanks so much. That fucking
Slows.
noise, the bell noise on the light, dung, dung, dung. He's just like, it is the greatest like realization moment of a movie. I feel like that he's just like, Well, I should say you do.
Rooney.
Use your head. And then again, but we have to go back. Ferris is not a great friend. It seemed like he, as in depth as this prank was going, it's almost like he needed an excuse to get upset with Cameron too, because he knew he wanted to take the car.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else feel that?
Yeah.
What, he made him come over to his house to do all of this.
You make me make a phone call to Edward Rooney?
Yeah. And then he still has to get him to drive back over to to Cameron's house to get the Ferrari.
Right.
Kind of shitty.
He knew.
Then Cameron's sitting here going, no, literally, my dad, he loves this car more than life itself. It's one of 8 or whatever, and it's this. Well, he shouldn't have left the door unlocked. Like, that is a shitty move.
It's shitty, but I mostly think it's shitty, but I also think, like, deep down too, I'm just like, Ferris is this kind of all-knowing, all-seeing kind of guru, I guess, that he is throughout this movie, and is kind of untouchable. There's a part of me that thinks, like, no, Cameron needed this, and I knew that we were gonna fuck this car up today.
We knew it,
and I knew that was gonna be like the catalyst for him to, like, break out under his fucking dad's rule. So that's what I like to believe, but yes, I do get that is fucking shitty.
All right, it's time for the fan theory then, because I think this is going to blow some minds, because it's fitting in with some of the things you've been already saying. I did see this initially from Dun Candy on Reddit. It's my favorite one so far. So Ferris Bueller pulls off the most elaborate skip day in teen movie history. No slip-ups, no consequences, not even a close call. What if there's a reason for that? What if Ferris Bueller is stuck in a time loop a la Groundhog Day? The theory is that this legendary day off isn't his first, and that it's actually one of hundreds, maybe even thousands of the exact same day over and over again, and Ferris has been perfecting it all this time. We're just in the middle of this. Think about it. Every move is calculated. He builds Rube Goldberg machines that just fool his parents. He hacks the school system, outsmarts a high-end maitre d', and keeps dodging Rooney like a chess master. The guy even catches a foul ball at Wrigley Field, sitting in the perfect seat, and lands a performance on a parade float. This isn't luck. This is mastery, trial and error, years of practice, which, by the way, is exactly what he says when his parents ask how he got so perfect. Years of practice. And remember when he breaks the fourth wall and says, this is the part where Cameron goes berserk? Mm-hmm. He doesn't sound like he's guessing. Sounds like he knows, and he's remembering, like he's seen it before. And remember, Sloan even says, you knew what you were doing when you woke up this morning. He sure did. He's been running this morning over and over and over. His obsession with Sloan starts to make more sense. The secretary says they're newly dating, but Ferris talks like they've been together for years. Maybe to him, they have been. He's not fearless because he's cool. He's fearless because failure doesn't matter. If it all falls apart, no problem. The day just resets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of fun, man.
I love thinking about the movie that way, because it explains it more than like the dream almost. It explains that he's not perfect, right? Like, I think the car crashing out the back window has never happened before.
Yeah.
So there are things that happen in this day where he's like, oh, you can see
his dad was going to get pissed regardless. Miles.
He knew he was going to dent the car and break it, but he's like, holy shit. Okay, I didn't think that was going to happen.
In fact, I would say if going along with this theory, I think that is what would make this a success to help him exit the time loop.
Oh, okay.
If anything,
is getting Cameron to finally
correct.
Yeah. That's his
because up to this point the car would get damaged and maybe Cameron would damage the car, or maybe there's something would happen a little bit.
If he damaged it, it's the miles. The miles are always going to set the
miles
off.
Yeah, something is going to happen to the car, but it's the car that has to get you killed the car.
Yeah,
you got to kill the car.
You killed the car.
I kill your fucking car.
And that is what does it. What makes Cameron says, "Oh, when Morris gets home, we'll have a little chat." He's like, and him taking a stand and him doing it. Yeah. Because even up to that point, it's like that could have been everything. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But it's the fact that it went out the back. Yeah,
I love it so
much.
much.
Does kind of make the end of this movie then kind of like an Inception fucking dowel thing.
Yeah,
we're like, maybe he will wake up, maybe he won't.
He seems a little more like aggressive about how this movie's going to end today. Like
Right.
something changed. We had a big breakthrough. Like I really need to make sure my parents don't find out.
Yeah. Yes. I really like that. So we get Chicago.
Yeah.
We're heading to Chicago now. Shots of Chicago, beautiful shots. What do you guys think of this? Like actually just like being set in Chicago and seeing so much of it, like the museum and everything.
It has to.
This is one of the things, I'm just going to say this right now. Like, as a kid, I'm like, it's kind of a boring day.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, I'm like, this is real special.
This is awesome.
This is real
Baseball,
special.
art
Yeah.
museums,
Yeah.
nice lunch.
Science, social studies. It's going to be rough.
You said it was like his love letter to the city. You can tell it's
Oh,
pretty.
yeah.
Obviously, all of his movies are set in the area, and you feel it, but you don't feel it like this one. This
Yeah,
is
because he
like,
definitely gets like in the heart of it.
Yes.
It seems like, and then like this is even like a lot of this is autobiographical too, because it's like his friends and him would go fuck around in the museum.
Yeah.
They would go there just to enjoy the museum. You know, they would go to restaurants like this and try and sneak in and try and like get alcohol because like his dad was like a member of the luncheon, whatever it was, and so he would sneak in and try and like fake be him or something, you know. So that a lot of that was real and taken from that. Yeah, I think that this is maybe his even most personal movie
Yeah.
up to this point.
Yeah.
The museum specifically was like his selfish moment
Yeah.
of the movie. He said he would go and sit in these in the Chicago Museum for hours, and he would sit there and he would just look at the paintings and look at the art and like this, it's a pretty good moment, and it's a pretty good like back and forth of like comedy, and then like it's like Cameron has this like revelation moment of like seeing like the little boy in the painting,
Yeah.
I love how it keeps zooming,
and it just keeps getting closer and closer and closer.
Until
and
you
you're
can
just
see like the woven grains in it. You
Yeah.
know, like it's just kind of like unraveling Cameron too.
yeah, you can't even make out what the actual picture is. You can only just see like it's like splotches of color on the canvas and texture, but then it's constantly going back to Cameron's eyes. It's just it's pretty brilliant.
I think the best shots in the movie are of them leaning up against the glass in
Dude.
the Sears Tower.
that's a beautiful shot.
Like The Shining almost pretty much like but like reversed.
and you almost see their reflection
Yeah.
more than their face kind of in
yeah,
that
they're
shot.
kind of like looking at themselves almost.
Yeah.
And like I do like that the scene is maybe 15 to 30 seconds because you go up to the top of the Sears Tower, look around for a bit, and you leave.
Yeah.
It takes you longer to get up there than it
That's it.
does. Yeah, well, we did it.
I mean, no
go.
offense, but it is kind of like the arch.
Let's go. We got a lot to do.
You go in like vacation. All right.
Cool. We got it.
That the soundtrack's not talked about enough in this movie. When they are in the art gallery, that
Yeah.
string quartet version of "Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want"
So
by the
good.
Smiths. Come on,
So
I heard it
good.
and I was like,
It's beautiful.
I've heard this before. What is this? Is that the Smiths?
Yeah.
But a string quartet?
Originally they
the Smiths in
originally
art
they had
gallery?
The Cure, I think it was The Cure, wrote an original song for
Really?
this, and it was the label that the music supervisor was on. John Hughes wanted them to be his like exclusive label for his movies.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we're a record label, John. We can't like do that. And so
It like fell
that
apart or
pissed
something.
him off. And so the Cure song was axed in the process of that. And so they just got this song.
Damn.
So we could have had a fucking sick ass Cure song, but we do have a sick ass Smith song.
You just said something that I've seen. I was trying to wonder where all the money came for today, and especially because they had to pay for that lunch, right? But a lot of people had said that when you're a part of these fancy lunch clubs, that it's more on a tab base.
Yeah.
But if it was more on a tab base, then they would know who Abe Froman is. You couldn't just like call him up and be like, "Put me on a tab. I'm coming in today. I've never
Yeah.
been there before." There was a deleted scene. Did you hear about the deleted scene?
I did. I had to find out more because this is in
Did
Chez
this always
Louis-
bug you?
Oh yeah, that's why I said like
Cubs games, art institutes, extremely expensive
yeah.
lunch.
And it's the point in Chez Louis when he pulls out that wad of cash in the bathroom,
Yeah.
in the restroom. I was like, what? Where does he get all this money?
Where is this coming
Yeah. So what was it?
The deleted scene at some point earlier in the day when his dad calls back home and tells him, you should put a hot towel on and
Put a
take
hot
a shower.
towel around your head. Take a hot bath and then wrap a whole towel around
Make
it.
some soup.
It's
Take
a
a
Then
nap.
make
That
yourself some
sounds
soup.
nice. Apparently, at that point, he's asking where something is, and his dad says, "Oh, it's in the safe right next to where I keep all those savings bonds." And it's implied then that Ferris takes a savings bond and goes and sells it for tons of cash to then fund his day.
Now that's shitty.
Yes, we're already
Yeah, it
teetering
is.
on the line of Ferris being kind of a shithead, piece of shit.
Sociopath.
Like he's already doing these things to kind of affect other people's life with reckless abandon. But thank God they left some of this stuff out. Because I
Whoa.
think this completely changes what we think about Ferris. If he's stealing money from his dad to do this.
Yeah, because then he becomes a legitimate thief.
Yes.
Like a hard legitimate thief.
Even
of
if
like
he
taking it from
even
his,
if he put this on Abe Froman's bill and left,
yeah.
that's super shitty. Because Abe Roman's going to show up and be like, not only did somebody charge my bill, but I don't get to eat
Right.
because they gave away my table after that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
But we can
I don't really have a problem.
But we can overlook that stuff. It's really shitty of him.
Yeah, well, and I agree, and I'm glad they took scenes like this out
Yes.
and like edited around a lot of this because you don't want to hate this guy. Obviously, this is our main character, and I think that would take away from like the sort of the unrealistic nature
Yes.
of a lot of this, the
Whimsical.
fantastical, whimsical nature of it. And
You're
I
right,
think
because
that's
we don't have to ask those questions. Just let it
yeah,
happen.
exactly. And I think that's the magic of it. Like there was even they shot them like ordering pancreas, and like he brings it up later. We had pancreas. He brings it up
With
later,
pancreas.
like because that scene was supposed to be there, But then like us as an audience can just fill in the blank a little bit and be like, well, I guess they just say pancreas.
And
they
move
had
on
it
to the next
somewhere
scene.
in that fancy
Yeah.
restaurant, Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and for us to fill in the blanks like that a lot, or just think to myself, or hopefully other people too, like, yeah, he just has money. I don't know how. I don't really care how or why.
Yeah.
He just does.
By the way,
But you're right.
that was the same restaurant as that Blues Brothers restaurant scene. This is the
Was it
same
really?
place they
It
filmed
looks
that.
so much like
Looks
it.
exactly like that. But another reason where modern day me's kind of thinking that Ferris is shitty is the way he treats this maitre d'. When you're a kid, you're like, "Ugh, fuck this guy. He's such a dick to Ferris. But by the way, this actor is hilarious.
Leave
though.
before I get snooty.
Snooty?
This motherfucker.
He's so funny, man.
Snotty.
He is.
Snotty.
Snooty? Snotty.
Snotty.
But even the way Ferris goes like, you can never go too far. It's like, yes, you can go too far, Ferris.
A, you can never go too far. B, if I'm going to get busted, it is not going to be by a guy like that.
And then he says the meanest line ever. He
Dude.
said, understanding makes it possible for people like us to tolerate a person like you, service industry person.
Yeah.
That is a shitty line.
He is the one, like, again, humanize the goons, guys.
Yes.
Humanize the maitre d' as we see it as a goon. Is he kind of like an uptight, snotty
course.
guy? Guess what? That's probably like his job because of the people that he probably deals with on a regular basis. Like, he does have to be this kind of like, barrier of who gets
And
into
he
the
gets treated
restaurant.
that way all day long by snooty people, so he just acts that way.
So it's like humanize him here. He's doing a job. And by the way, if Abe Froman walks in, think of the shit show that this guy is going to be
my
in.
God.
You know what I mean?
The Sausage King himself.
The
just showed
Sausage
up.
King of Chicago. It's like, again, mannerisms. Yeah, that's me. It's just like, you piece of shit.
So good. Confidence.
Well, you sure as I'll try. Hi, I'm Abe Froman. It's like,
Yeah. And I like how they do the same kind of phone thing
Yeah.
with
Oh,
this
it's
guy. too.
brilliant.
Oh, my
I love
God.
how he's like, could you describe him? He's like, and then cut to them at the table. He's like, I'm
I'm
sorry,
so sorry,
for
sir.
any inconvenience. Like, I love that.
Mr. Froman?
That's like peak John Hughes comedy
Yes,
for me.
it
I
is.
love that shit.
This is Sergeant Peterson, Chicago Police.
Cut.
Cut. Well, let's go on to scene 3. So Rooney prowls the Bueller home for Ferris, becoming victim to several pratfalls.
He prowls, huh? Yeah.
Prowls.
All right.
Prowls.
Okay.
Prowls.
Separate the.
Yeah.
The three also attend the Von Steuben Day parade where Ferris jumps on a float and performs for the whole crowd. He lip syncs Dankeschön by Wayne Newton and Twist and Shout by the Beatles. Jeannie skips class and returns home to confront Ferris, but finds Rooney instead. The police arrest Jeannie, believing she prank called the police station. While detained, she meets and befriends another delinquent.
More John Hughes, like kind of editing Paul Hirsch comedy-ish kind of stuff, is when his dad is in the restaurant and he's like, out of all the restaurants in Chicago, my dad had to pick this one. And the cab thing. Sure. The cab thing, I love so much. And I'm just like kind of getting to it, and then his dad reaches for it, and then he's not reaching for it anymore, so they reach for it, and they get in, and just perfectly another one shows up right there. I love that shit so much.
There is more evidence, I think, towards the time loop theory.
Sure.
Of him being able to time this out.
Knowing where to go. It looks like when he comes out to it looks like he's counting. He's almost like, and 5, 4, 3, and now go.
It's like, we're pinched for sure. He's like, never. when the meat get pinched, the bold survive. puts on the beret for some reason and the sunglasses and just.
Another one too is at the Cubs when he does the Cubs game and Rooney's looking for him at like the arcade pizzeria thing.
Yep.
I wanted to come back to this. This is my favorite line of the entire movie. Please go.
Well, it's just like he messes with the girl or whatever. It's not Ferris, and then he's like the guy at the pizzeria or whatever is watching the Cubs game. He just misses him as he looks away, and he's fucking like carrying the fucking foul ball. You know,
catches the foul ball and he's like stoked on it. And the guy behind the counter is even like, "Oh man, lucky son of a bitch."
That's awesome.
You know, that kind of thing. And then it cuts away, and he says to him,
"Score."
He's like, "What's the score? Nothing. Who's winning?" The Bears. By the way,
Bears.
The Bears. Is he talking about the Cubs?
No, the Bears.
The Bears?
Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears?
Yeah.
That's the football team.
That's the joke.
That's the joke.
Is that the joke? Are you sure that's the joke?
That's the joke. Because he's like, this guy doesn't even know anything about sports.
So, okay.
That's the joke.
He's like literally carrying on meaningless conversation with this guy,
not listening to
and
what
he
I'm saying,
realizes.
I'll be honest with you. I thought like the whole time, like up to this point, because I thought about that again on rewatch. I'm like, is he making a joke because like saying Rooney's just like doesn't even give a shit? But then I'm thinking it's like he says the Bears, and I'm thinking he's just like, come on, we're Cubs fans. Like,
come on, man.
It's the Bears are winning. You know, that kind of a thing. Like, we're in Chicago. Of course they're winning.
Nope.
Playing Philly. You know, fuck the Phillies. So, but then upon rewatch, I heard the Bears. I'm like, the football team? Oh, he's being a dick.
Yeah.
Okay. It's such a great line.
When he does start prowling around the house, I love the realization of like the recordings and everything is really fucking fun. But the most like maybe irking to me shot is of him getting his shoe stuck in the mud outside.
Don't like that.
Dude.
And then his sock stepping in it. I'm like, oh no.
You can feel it.
That's like literally my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Muddy sock.
The muddy cruddy sock.
Yeah.
Dude, and what a terrifying encounter to not only encounter that type of a dog, but to be face level with it.
Oh God.
With your head through a doggy door as it comes around a corner. Like that caught some terrifying vibes for me just watching that happen.
This is again where you're going too far. Like clearly you're going too far at this point, right? Because you're breaking and entering. Like, what are you doing? And by the way, what's Rooney's goal at this point? If he gets into the house, let's say there's no dog. Let's say there's no dog.
He wants to see if he gets in the house and he's not there, then he knows that he's skipping school. But then what happens?
But then what?
Yeah. How do you prove that?
It doesn't. It doesn't make. This is the one thing. It doesn't make any sense, and it's very frustrating to me because I'm just sitting there thinking, if he gets in, what if he opens the door? What if he cracks open the door, and the Rube Goldberg mechanism fools Rooney then at that point, and he's like, oh my God, he is here,
Right?
that kind of shit, right? Because like I don't know at this point, did he ring the doorbell at this point?
Yeah, he already
Yeah.
did.
He
He rang
did
the
that.
doorbell twice, then he went around the back.
Okay, because even then you can play it off like, well, yeah, I didn't want people are going to be bugging me and stuff, so I just made a recording.
I made a recording.
I just made a recording so that way people would be satisfied. It's like he could talk his way out of that, but like Rooney getting into the house and all that shit, it's like it doesn't make any sense to me, and that's the kind of frustrating part. I also thought that he also ordered the flowers himself, and that he dropped the thing so the dog would eat the flowers, and the flowers were supposed to make the dog drowsy. That's what I used to think as a kid, guys.
I thought that too.
Did you?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
The same thing?
Yeah. Like
Dude.
they were poisonous to him or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Like I thought that's what would happen. Not that he
right.
smashed it over the dog's head.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I still thought that. That is just blowing my mind right then and there.
Are you
He
serious?
smashed
Yes.
it over the dog's head.
Because he
But
says
did he order the flowers, or were those?
No.
Was that just the first round of flowers coming to the house?
it was another delivery. Because by the way, Louis Anderson
Was the
same
delivery
delivery driver
You
as
can
later
tell.
on too.
You can tell he's
Yeah.
got.
Someone
got a body
ordered
type.
him a hooker.
Can you explain to me what's going on here? Like, what is
I
that?
never-
What this is?
I don't remember the scene whatsoever.
that you were feeling ill because I'm the nurse that likes to.
No, it's like give a pluck. I'll make you pluck because I'm the nurse who likes to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yep. Like
All right, like that's just a thing. They were just like, I don't know,
And
put it in
those two dudes were gonna watch.
yeah.
I don't know. Or there were like 3 Telegram people who just
Look,
show up at the same time.
Think about how many times Louis Anderson has had to like go back and forth between this house alone. Did you see all those flowers at the end? How many times he had to drop off flowers here? You know he's getting sick of it. He's like, I better get a show at some
Yep.
point. You know, he's the one who probably ordered it because he deserves something.
Yeah, hey,
All right.
you know,
I'm Louis Anderson.
I'm Louis Anderson.
I do want to ask you guys about this parade scene then, because like I can see how this would be like a mega affecting moment in a young kid's life to see this happen. But I always remember, and I still kind of felt this way, that this was like a wannabe Blues Brothers scene from John Hughes. You know, like all those street montaged Blues Brothers sing-along songs, like in the church, in the street, even some of the way the shots were made of the dances. At one point, a guy does like a flip off a trampoline in the back.
Right.
Like this is Blues Brothers. You're just absolutely stealing this and putting it into this movie. I've always felt that way, and I still kind of felt that way about this scene.
I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see where you're coming from. But
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it felt like a ripoff in a way.
Yeah, no, I never felt that necessarily. I always thought about this as maybe it's what made me. I can probably look back and say that this is a scene of a movie that made me want to be in performance.
Really?
Yeah.
Same. This is the scene.
Yeah.
A moment in my life where I knew that I wanted to perform for people.
Because he was the coolest person in the city of Chicago for 10 minutes.
To make all those people react that way to what
Yeah.
he was doing.
Yeah. And he's doing it in such a cool way.
He did look cool.
And you know, up until that point, performance and like let's say like, you know, you're in Iowa, small town, it's like show choir
Was
and
not
stuff,
cool.
right? That's not the cool thing to do necessarily. Like people did it all the time, but it's just like people weren't like, oh, I'm gonna be the coolest person because I'm gonna do show choir. No, that's not really. It's like, but this was something on another level. The Donkashane, you know, Wayne Newton singing thing. And then it goes into Twist and Shout from the Beatles. I mean, it was an iconic moment, and I think it's probably, I could probably say, if it's for 2 out of 3 of us, it felt like life-changing in the sense of like, I feel like I wanted to be a performer at that point. I think it did it for a lot of people.
I still feel this way. It still kind of affects me.
Yeah.
In that certain way where every time I watch it, I'm like, I want to get on stage right now.
Mm-hmm.
So bad. And even when I was a little kid, I think this is the first time I probably ever heard the Beatles in that song, Twist and Shout. And it's like, I think it almost even got me into maybe liking hard rock, which led me to like metal and led me to like hardcore and everything, because Twist and Shout, John Lennon on that song is like screaming.
It's like a one take too, wasn't it? Like
I don't know.
yeah,
I mean,
dude.
it makes sense. It's just like the performance on that recording is fucking ridiculous because it's the raspiness of his voice and everything.
Yeah.
And
is this the second movie in 3 weeks that has had this song in it? Wasn't this in Interspace too? Or am I wrong?
No, that was a. No,
Oh,
I
it
thought
was
the
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke.
I feel like I've heard this song somewhere else in the last couple weeks. but
Maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, this whole thing is just pure cinema to me. I think this is one of the top 20 scenes ever in a movie.
It probably has to be.
in my estimation. I mean, a lot of the shots of like the guy up on the scaffolding, was just
real dudes.
just an actual guy. They probably had to like send a runner to go get his signature on a piece of paper so he could be in the movie. I love seeing the whole city like this. I love seeing like the kind of odd. They look like they're floating. The like dance group looks like
That
they're
was cool.
floating.
That was a
and then
cool
coming
shot.
down the stairs, And I mean, this is all like choreographed by Kenny Ortega as well, who directed Hocus Pocus and did the choreography for Dirty Dancing.
Damn.
And like I know that Matthew Broderick's knee was injured at the time, so he couldn't do a lot of the choreographed parts for himself. So he just kind of winged it,
Yeah.
This scene is so special to me. I really can't get enough of this and Twist and Shout in general. I think it's just the perfect amalgamation of cinema and music hitting at the same time to make the perfect moment.
Can I make you mad for one small moment?
Yeah, that's fine.
Please and thank you.
Paul McCartney famously said that he was kind of mad that they put brass over the top of his rock and roll song. I was like,
I actually think I like this version better.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Sorry, Paul. They came up with it, and I wish you would have put a brass over my song.
My
'Cause I'm
song
Paul
that's
McCartney.
100 years old now.
Yeah, it's so
off, dude.
it's so old, and I just wish I would have thought of it first. But
La-
now I don't like it because I did it.
Last part of this scene 3, you got who we have not talked about yet. You've not talked about Jeannie and her encounter
Correct.
with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
Genie.
First of all, what's Jeannie's real name?
that is
Dirty
Jennifer
Dancing?
Grey.
Oh,
Jennifer Grey.
Grey?
This was a year before Dirty Dancing, so she's just a character in this movie,
Yeah.
but she's great as the sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this scene with her and Charlie Sheen is awesome.
Yeah,
It's a great culmination for her, and like really getting to see her, like her character kind of flesh out a little bit, like humanize her a little
Yes.
bit. But by the way, Jeannie's been skipping school this whole time too,
Totally.
yeah.
so she really doesn't have anything to fucking bitch about.
Would she have
Everyone's
like
giving
2
Yeah.
free periods in a row? Bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. Like she literally gets called out by multiple people that she like isn't so and so expecting you in economics classes. Probably it's like she calls her a bitch or something.
She's like, what an asshole.
Yeah, what an asshole.
What a little asshole.
But like she's skipping class the entire time, just trying to hunt down fuck. And by the way, if you wouldn't have gone home, you wouldn't have run into Ed Rooney. You wouldn't have made the phone call or the phone call to
Yeah.
the police. None of this would have happened.
Yeah.
It's like so it's your fault. I mean, I know you're upset. It's the same idea as Rooney though. You have every right to be upset. You're going too far.
yeah.
You're a dumbass.
And-
Everybody is.
And Charlie Sheen's character is like literally making her tell herself this pretty much. He's like, I want you to tell me. I know what's wrong with you. I want you to say it.
Drugs?
I want you to say
No, thanks. I'm straight. He's like,
Absolutely.
no, are you here for Are you here on drug charges?
drugs. No, why are you here? Drugs.
Did you hear he stayed awake for 48 hours just to make himself look like that?
Fucking
And he
looks like it,
does.
man.
Yeah.
He looks like it.
And he also looks back on this performance and hates it. Wants to punch himself in the face.
It's like, well, you stayed up for 48 hours.
it's
What do
like,
you expect?
Like it's such a funny thing, but like it's a great scene. It's a great little I don't know what you call this. It's like a meet cute though.
yeah.
It is. It's that and like her Jeannie realizing like she needs to calm the fuck down
Yeah.
pretty much,
Yeah.
And then like you
Seems to me you want to spend a little less time worrying about your brother or worry about yourself.
some good
It really is.
It's just my opinion. Oh, your opinion. Or your psychiatrist? No. Well, why don't you keep your opinions to yourself?
like if you
Calm
look,
down.
if you look back and don't like the performance, you look back and you don't like making out with Jennifer Grey.
Yeah,
Come on,
exactly.
man.
No,
You
I mean,
mad
I'm
about
sure he
that,
liked
bud?
that part. But
Come
it-
on.
he's like, I remember that part. That was dope.
Fuck
That was
yeah.
a dope part. I
That was
remember
dope.
that.
Matthew Broderick and Jennifer Grey got together on set on this.
Yes.
And the parents,
The parents.
Matthew Broderick's, like Ferris Bueller's parents,
Mhm.
both met and got together on this set. We haven't talked about Sloane enough.
Can we mention one quick thing that from what you just said there,
Sure.
though? This I never heard anything about this, but indeed, Broderick and Gray started a relationship and got engaged after this movie. They were in Ireland in 1987, driving in the middle of nowhere on a rainy night and got in a car accident, killing 2 women in another car. Days before Dirty Dancing was going to be released, Matthew Broderick was charged with reckless driving, paid a $175 fine, no jail time, no nothing, no manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter charges. It sounds like it pretty much was the catalyst that messed up Jennifer Grey for decades to come after
I
that.
think it's kind of. I mean, we talked about his later work being a little kind of downer. I think that has a lot to do with it.
You
Sure.
come off of this movie and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Like I had never heard that story in my entire life.
I never did either until finally like researching this.
Wow.
I don't know Jennifer Grey was with him, but I knew he had
Yeah.
accidentally murdered 2
Yeah,
people.
they were in it together, and they were there together. They were like vacationing or whatever
Yeah,
together.
or
Like
probably on
they're on set for some.
Yeah.
Somebody was on set for something. And yeah, like you just hear that, and you're just like, jeez.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a parlance of their time is an idea. No, what the fuck is going on? Like what? That's pretty wild. Yeah.
But Sloane, Mia Sara in this, only seeing her in Legend. It's the only thing I ever noticed her from, but the maybe top 2 crushes of all time in movie history that I've when I was a kid. Seeing
Okay.
her in this. Oh my God.
Okay.
She's incredible.
I love her so much in this.
Yeah.
She's so good.
How do you feel about it? I really noticed it this time around that she doesn't. It's kind of unique that she is just this beautiful woman in this movie, but does her character do anything?
Not really. And like I read a lot that she was really nervous being on this set. 'Cause
Really?
She was actually like even the closest to the material because she was just graduating high school ish.
She's like 18. isn't it?
Yeah, she was just coming off that kind of this era ish, and coming on to this movie set where like Matthew Broderick was this huge star, John Hughes this huge director.
Yeah.
You know, and here she is, maybe 3 movies deep or something like that, and this is like her 4th. And I could see that, and I think that it comes off the performance a little bit too. But also there's moments of like brilliance with her. Like I think I'm looking at her, I'm like, man, just like her facial reactions and like her confidence in a lot of scenes is really, really infectious, and I love that about her.
Yeah.
She like John Hughes wanted somebody like more kind of a more mature like female lead, you know, the supporting for this, and I think they kind of had somebody else really in mind. And then when he found out, when they auditioned Mia Sara and then found out how old she was, he was like shocked.
Yeah.
He was like taken aback by this and was just like, yeah, I think we found her. Think that's it. We're good. And it's like, yeah, I think it was a pretty damn amazing casting to have, because like you say, like her character doesn't do a ton as far as the story goes, but at the same time, like her presence is felt for throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty tough line to walk, I would think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, scene 4, upon collecting the Ferrari and heading home, Ferris and Cameron discover that the car's mileage has been significantly increased. They spend time in a pool trying to console him at Cameron's house, and after trying to rewind the odometer, the car is accidentally destroyed. Ferris offers to take the blame, but Cameron decides to tell the truth and stand up to his father.
Cameron,
you got to stop. You're freaking me out.
him hyperventilating is like, again, it's like one of these moments that I used to think was the funniest fucking thing to me on the planet. Like him just like
After
having
they
this,
found the car's odometer.
After they found out the cars, and like it's just man, it was so funny to me, and I don't know why. That and him sitting on the diving board was always really funny to me. Like, why is he up there?
I do think that his no that he yells is one of the all-time worst no's ever, up next to Darth Vader in when he finds out that that what's her face. No. It's pretty bad, but it also works completely just fine.
Yeah.
That would be the last thing I would think to do if this happened to me.
Yeah.
I would just go "Roop," and just roll off the side of the Ferrari and just kill myself.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty simple. I mean,
He's already basically falling off the way he's sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple choice here.
I like when he does go into the pool. He like is at the bottom of it, and he's kind of like looking up, like, are they coming?
Yeah.
You know.
Whose pool is this?
I don't know.
I thought about this, and there's one thing that makes sense,
'Kay, keep
and
going.
it's Cameron's.
Okay.
It has to be Cameron's house.
It doesn't feel like it when you see the setting of that garage, but it's the only one that possibly makes sense.
The only other one that could be is Ferris's, because
but it's not.
but it can't be because
Because Rooney's been snooping around.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why it can't be his.
But at one point earlier in the movie, Ferris is like sunbathing outside with like a tiki drink.
That's what I mean.
It sort of looks like he's next to a pool.
Yeah.
He is next to a pool, like, and that's why I say it's like at his house. But again, it can't be his, because at this point, Rooney's still there. He hasn't gotten like dragged away.
Nope.
Maybe Sloane's?
No, because she wasn't wearing a bathing suit. It looks like she just took her clothes off and had like this negligee.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Pretty awesome.
She knew what was going
She knew
on.
it was up. Cameron, did you watch me change?
How much did you see?
Kind of weird. You changed in front of him anyway.
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
though he thought he was catatonic. That's fine.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Whatever.
So this Ferrari crash scene out the back window of the thing, I personally believe this is the most iconic thing of the movie.
Oh yeah.
And I forgot how well done it is and how they drag it out. Because I haven't seen this in a long time, and I kept going, oh, here he comes. He's gonna kick the car. Nope. He's gonna beat the shit out of it. Nope. Like, it just never goes, and we all know it's gonna go.
He keeps cutting to that
Yeah.
fucking lift or whatever.
That jack at the
Yeah.
back of it.
It's such an expert lesson in just drawing that out until it finally goes. And man, when that thing crashes, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It's all their expressions, I think, are really well done. You know what I mean? Where it's like
This is not happening in the time loop. Looking at
No,
Ferris's
no.
face.
Yeah.
This is new to him, even, but again, it's what needed to happen for him to complete the time loop. I think he didn't realize it at this point, right, or up till this point, and I have to believe that inside of that theory, but hang on, but it's all their reactions up to it. It's like his, like, when he's like, good. He comes home. It's like, I'm glad. He's like,
I'm glad.
and he leans on the thing and just, whoa.
Dude, that shot of it going away from him
Yeah,
in his
it's
face,
great.
I think that's my favorite shot of this whole thing.
That's a great one. Yeah.
It's that, and it might be one of the final kicks where it's the camera and he kicks into the camera. That just seems so it just seems so hard, deliberate of him doing it, and him having this like battle with himself. Who do you love? Who do you love? You love the car, and just having this moment with himself. Like it's pretty awesome.
I think
it's pretty
it's
fucking awesome.
Why I think it's like an award-worthy performance from Alan Ruck here is because we only hear about his dad. We never see him. We never see him act like this. We're only told about him, you know. And to get such a clear picture, at least in my mind, of his dad, of just his description, and really the way you see it makes Cameron feel, you know, like he's so pimped up about this car. He's so pimped up about just the way he's been treated from his father. And I know that John Hughes and Alan Ruck both had a very clear picture of who this was in their mind. And I think you can definitely tell, and that lends to Alan Ruck's performance here, like where he's like, he never, ever, ever lets me, you know, that kind of thing is really good. And I like I said, I think his performance literally just from his face and his act outs make me know who his father is.
Yeah.
And that's that's a really cool thing. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Also, that moment very particularly, the I never say anything, that where he's kind of hitting his chest. Total Emilio potential freak out possible right there, right? Like very interchangeable with like the scene where he's upset, like Andrew,
yeah,
there's no losers in this family. Very similar like feeling and vibe, and it makes me think of like, wow, okay, maybe Emilio could have done this.
100%, yeah,
Totally could have.
But these are the moments that he could have done, and I think some of the other moments, like when he's at the stock exchange,
yeah,
and Emilio can't do that,
or even the fake phone calls,
the
and stuff
fake
like
phone
that.
calls.
Yeah.
What like no shade. I'm not trying to throw
not.
shade at Emilio Estevez by any means, but at the same time, like what would Emilio Estevez have done there? Like a funny hub.
Yeah.
He would have done the Andrew like that kind of voice. That wouldn't have worked. Alan Ruck made this performance like of Cameron, and I do believe you. I think he deserves a Confusey.
Okay.
I think Alan Ruck as Cameron Fry deserves a Confusey of some sort. I think it might be best supporting actor.
Best
Confusing.
Okay.
Confusey
Nomination.
This is where I do think anybody out there in the "it was a dream" camp. This is where I think you have the most evidence, because when they're literally like, they just crashed a one-of-a-kind Ferrari that had 100 miles on it.
The 1961.
That his
Ferrari.
dad loved more than life itself. And then they cue in happy music, and he's just like, it's a wet, hot American summer moment for me. They're like, next time you drive. Like they're overly happy at the fact that like he's finally gonna have a chat with his dad. And you know what? Things are gonna be different. And the following scene, Sloane's like, he's gonna be all right, right? Yep. He's going to be fine. For the first time in his life, he's going to be fine. No, he's not. His dad is going to kill him. There's nothing he can say to like build their relationship back up after what just happened.
I think that
Well, it's got to be up to his dad. I think that's what he's going for.
It's
like,
and it's
fuck
not.
you, like you're I've crashed your fucking stupid ass car. You want to have a relationship with me?
Not anymore.
Now that's gone. Now you finally need to work for my love. You
I
piece
think
of shit.
Cameron. I think Ferris Bueller's Day Off 2. Cameron is dead in the opening scene. He's
Cameron's
died.
funeral.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I'm saying
I get it.
His dad, like that's what he's thinking about his dad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's man. They linger. Here's the only thing that, and like I go back and forth. It's like a joke that like lasts too long, but then like so does it. It becomes it's funny, but it becomes unfunny. Then it becomes funny again. Is the same idea of like them lingering on his face for so long.
Yeah.
They linger on Cameron's face for quite a while.
They do.
On this. It's a good like 6-7 seconds, something like that, like maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like at one point I'm like a little bit of cheese here.
Yeah.
A little bit of cheese here. I don't usually get from John Hughes. At least not in this way. It felt kind of deliberate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I get that.
I'm torn. I guess.
Final scene. After walking Sloane home, Ferris runs through the neighborhood to beat his sisters and parents home. Right as he gets to the door, Rooney confronts him. Ferris is saved by his sister, and Rooney is left outside to be attacked by the family's dog. As Rooney flees the house, Ferris rushes back to his bedroom to await his parents. They find him in bed, believe he's been home all day.
How about that? The whole running home scene. Fucking amazing.
March of the Swivelheads by the English Beat.
Great song.
I don't know if it's a great song, but it sure fucking is in this scene. Like, I don't know what else I would hear in this. But it's perfect. Hey! 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 It's so weird.
No,
It
don't
is a
get up.
weird song.
Dinner's ready. Smells good. It's like, dude, him running through the houses, like, and then him doubling back. Hi, Ferris Bueller. Nice to meet you.
Hey, why were these girls sitting in the direction they were sitting? Did you notice that? Sunbathers?
Because there's no sun where they're sitting.
The sun is setting behind them, and they're like in the shade facing the opposite direction.
You
checks
never
out.
really pay
Just trying to
attention
get a
to
base,
the
man.
back of your neck.
You really
Yeah.
don't, do you?
And they were really trying to get in there.
You're just trying to get a base.
And it's springtime at about 5 8:45 p.m.
Yeah,
It's cold in Chicago.
It's not great.
it's not
It's
great.
probably not really great out there for them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
This isn't sprinkler season.
It's April now in Iowa, and it's 35 degrees outside right now.
Yeah.
Sunbathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of bullshit.
Hey, how are you?
But him, this is he runs into like Jeannie.
Yeah.
He sees his dad. Like the moments with his dad. His dad might be the most saintly man on earth. Let's be real, guys. His dad is working. He's working really hard. He's clearly got a good high power job in marketing of some kind. Dave, if you want to save money, or if you want to make money, you got to spend the money. I know he got the money. Dave, it's like I guess
You
he's
son of a bitch.
he's like, get on, you dumb son of a bitch. and then him driving home gets cut off, not phased. He's like, all right, hell, whatever. You got places to be, I guess.
I'm going home.
Going home to my loving family, and this is the best. And then gets cut off by Granny, blue hair, the epitome of a blue hair who can't see over the wheel. And he's just like, this is a game. This is a game. This is not life. This is a game.
Someone's trying to destroy my life right now.
He's like, I don't know what's going on. It's such a funny damn thing. All while Ferris is just trying to cut home. I don't know. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I love all the stunts, like jumping on the trampoline and going through the swing set and everything. That's where he injured his knee.
Oh, really?
Was doing all these scenes, jumping over the fences and shit like that. Yeah, but then he finally gets home and Jeannie has the realization. Is like, oh, I think I do like my brother.
So what do you think happened here, though? Why do you think she just got mad that she found out it was Rooney because she picked up the wallet and then was like, oh, this Rooney's worse than my brother and I should save my brother? Like, why does she help him out here?
I think she just has a kind of moment of, I should stop taking myself too seriously kind of thing. I mean, I think it was a culmination of Rooney being like, maybe she didn't really know it was Rooney. She could have gotten killed by somebody.
Yeah.
That kind of puts it in her mind. And the Charlie Sheen really puts it in her mind,
Well, but up until 5 seconds before that, she was ready to bust him. So in that moment, she figures it out.
I think it's because it's almost like it shouldn't be Rooney at that point. My two questions to this are leading up to this is one, so she had no idea, she did not recognize her own school principal when she kicked him in the face, right?
3 times.
How is it?
Correct. That's correct.
3 times.
Yeah. It's a dream.
And exactly, so she never recognized him. It was just heat of the moment. Didn't recognize him. Calls the police. Didn't recognize the guy. And then I used to also think, going back, in addition to this, I used to think that she took something at the police station with Charlie Sheen, like some sort of a drug.
Oh, okay.
I used to think that because that's why she was so goofy and stuff.
Okay.
Not thinking
just being in love.
and kind of smitten by the whole scenario. I used to think that too. And so that whole interaction making her seem, one, more aloof because she took something and she got to make out and had the realization that Charlie Sheen gave her. And that was it.
I like that. I like that she took drugs.
All right, cool.
So what about this? What if on the way home, Jeannie finds out from her mom says that because of you, Jeannie, I lost the Vermont
deal.
And I was going to use the commission from the Vermont deal to buy Ferris a car. And Jeannie pieces together the fact that because Ferris skipped school today, that caused Jeannie to go out looking for him, which caused Jeannie to then ruin the Vermont deal, which then allowed Ferris to not get a car. So Ferris skipping school made him not get a car, and she's like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
She did it.
She did it.
She did it.
She got him worse than he could ever get her at that point.
I got a car. You got a computer. Can't sound all bad. It's like that's very fair.
Yeah.
I like to think that that's in her brain somewhere.
Yep.
I think that that's good.
She's like, gotcha. We'll bring this up some other day.
Yeah. I think that in a nutshell, she just doesn't want to be Rooney because Rooney was the piece of shit who did break into the house too, and she found it out.
Yeah. Do you think Sloane and Ferris last?
Oh,
he says he's going to marry her.
No, not at all.
Not a chance.
Okay. No. See, Ferris is going to a place called college. And when you get to college and you're Ferris Bueller,
When you were one Ferris Bueller among 10,000 non-Ferris Buellers, you're now in college where everyone's a Ferris Bueller.
But it's Sloan.
But there's more Sloans,
or so does
more
Sloan
mature
eye.
Sloans.
does Ferris go through a Judge Reinhold effect from Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Yes.
Well, it's kind of proven that honestly, I don't think he does much partying in college,
Okay.
because we do see that Ferris does change his name to, I think, David or something like that, and becomes pretty much Rooney
A school principal.
in
Yes,
election.
of course. Yep,
Right.
Yep.
So,
Ferris was his middle name.
yeah.
He liked to go
exactly.
by that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly what happens.
Son of a biscuit.
Yep.
Well,
Do you hear the original line? Yeah, life is a carousel. A big crazy ball of pure living. Breathing joy and delight. You got to get one.
Ooh.
John Hughes decided to change the line on the day of filming that scene.
Simplify.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. Got it.
Yep.
thanks for changing that, John.
Thank you so much.
Now that's just like a piece of philosophy.
yes, it is.
You know,
Crazy ball of pure living. Breathing joy and delight.
hooting, hollering.
I'm pretty
I'll tell
sure
ya.
that's been added into Sun Tzu's like Art of War
Yes.
at this point in time.
Yeah. The new versions that they're printing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The St. James version.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's save a few other things for the old Patreon, maybe.
Okay.
We do got a couple.
Patreon.
Nick Mad's got a porn name. He says Ferris Drooler's Getting Off. I said Ferris Bueller's Gay Off. Like, I
Nice.
think that'd be pretty
Good
cool.
job, dude.
Prop. Anybody got a prop?
I got a problem.
I got a
Here's a prop.
What do you got?
sweater vest.
It's a good one.
Nice.
You look good in that.
Thank you.
I will give the shout out. My wife noticed, that Sloan has a Cartier watch at the very end.
Damn.
She really wants that Cartier
So
watch.
you're gonna get it for her.
So I'll get that for her.
Wow.
No, nope. That's it. That's your
No,
one
and
prop.
then I get Rooney's flip up shades.
Those are fucking great. Nick Mad wants the Karate Champ arcade machine that
Nice.
they're
Oh,
playing there.
dude, yeah.
I actually, this is the weird one. We've never done this before. I want Harry Carey's voice from the Cubs game because nothing puts me back into childhood and warmth like Harry Carey's voice.
Oh, totally.
Punchable face. Anybody got one?
I mean,
I don't necessarily have one. Nick Mad says the restaurant staff member who gawks at Ferris and friends as he walks by them when they attempt to get a table.
oh yeah,
Oh,
he like
yeah.
looks Sloan
That's a
up
good
and
one.
down.
Yeah,
I kind of agreed with him on that one.
I like that one.
I like that. Yeah.
I feel like there was one. There's definitely some students that probably need to be punched.
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like,
It was
you know?
close to the money collecting kid for me, but I felt bad for him.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
well,
trying to do
I
something
felt
good.
bad for him. I think it might have been Adamson or something like that. Here, probably that
Frick,
guy.
dude.
God, whatever.
Whatever.
Well, we have dissected Ferris Bueller's Day Off with a modern eye. Time to give it a modern day rating. Sean, going to go to you, man. Are you still feeling the same way you felt about this nostalgically?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I haven't seen this movie since I saw it the first time back in the day. When I was a kid watching this over and over again, I hadn't gone through the high school experience yet. I didn't do any of the things that I had done, obviously. And watching it this time, it kind of reinforces the kind of mindset that I've been trying to have more and more lately, is just not giving a shit about anything. Only giving the right amount of shit on certain things, and not letting a lot of things bother me too much. And that's what the epitome of Ferris Bueller as a character is, and I love that. Especially love that changes a character like Cameron. I think the performances kind of blew me away more this time seeing this, and I think that John Hughes's comedy, by using just editing, is so underrated to me. Like, I made me think a lot about like Uncle Buck. I don't think he directed Uncle Buck, or Great Outdoors. I don't think he directed Great Outdoors, but a lot of that kind of comedy. Yeah, man, I think this is John Hughes' best movie of all time, and I gave The Breakfast Club 9.5. I have to give this higher because I will watch this once a year, no matter what. There's a chapter in this book that's fantastic. If you want to read it, it's all about John Hughes. You couldn't ignore me if you tried. The chapter is called I Love Ferris Bueller in the Springtime. That's when I'll revisit this movie. This movie is a 9.6 for me.
Cripes.
No, that's when I insert that soundbite. Oh my God! AJ, what about you?
Oh, this is a toughie. I do love Ferris Bueller. I put off watching this movie for a long time because of the anticipation of doing it on this show.
Same.
And like when I do that, I either get really, really excited, or else I become slightly jaded towards it and try to convince myself that I don't want to watch it, and then it kind of works. That's kind of what happened with this one, which is kind of a bummer because I do think it's a great movie, and like I really do like watching it. I love watching parts of this movie. There are and like I'm not saying that this is a 2/3 movie where I got 2/3 way through it and I'm kind of over the rest of it. I don't feel that way about this movie, but there are parts kind of throughout that I'm like, I don't need those parts. So, man, it's really tough. John Hughes is my favorite director of all time. He's one of my favorite writers of all time. And he's like probably one of those like industry heroes, if you would put it out there as such a thing. So I have to go, and I feel like I know where this needs to go. I want to say that it's not quite as high as it used to be for me. I would probably put this underneath Uncle Buck for myself as far as the John Hughes movies go. So that being said, I think I can comfortably put this at a 9.1.
Damn. Hell yeah.
Boys, me and Nick Matt are going to be bringing you down a little bit here.
It's a good thing we did our job.
That's why this works so well, though. Like something like I've said it before, high school movies, put it in my veins. But like this isn't a high school movie. This is a movie about a kid who doesn't know enough about life yet that thinks he does. And this kid doesn't. He just from start to finish, nothing changes for him. He's just this kid that does cool things and gets away with it. And I can see as a kid, you're like, yeah, he represents us all. But like as an adult, you're kind of like, fuck this kid. Like, come on,
You'll learn.
Dude. He'll fucking learn. Good luck later on in life, bro. Good luck when you have kids. Let's see how the skip day stuff works for you. Let's see that. But that being said, man, what a awesome movie in a run of John Hughes movies, like proving he is the best that has ever done it for this kind of a vibe. And I do like the sentiment of, I'm hoping this is the underlying theme, is that there's need for mental health and days off and life. You know, if you don't stop and look around, like I love all of that. But other than that, it doesn't necessarily like affect me in the weird deep sense that like Dazed and Confused does. And like even a lot of other John, like Breakfast Club, I thought about it for weeks afterwards, just going, oh my God, it's so deep on so many ways. This, I'm like, fun story. So I'm gonna be a 7.2 on this one. Nick Mad said, it's easy to feel nostalgic about the 80s, even if you've never experienced it. The story of a teen staying home from school in an era where the internet was non-existent. Ferris Bueller experiences more in one day than most people will in an entire year. However, I found when watching this as an adult, I definitely viewed things differently. First off, there's no way they accomplished everything they did in one school day. And if I'm falling short as a parent, come talk to me. Don't just wreck my expensive car, you idiots. I even just found myself sympathizing with the likes of Ed Rooney, who's just doing his job, even if he does commit a few felonies. Humanize the goons. Life moves pretty fast, and so does this film. I still found it to be a consistent adventure filled with laughs, great one-liners, and memorable moments. Like most films from the mind of John Hughes, the story transcends generations by evoking a familiar charm that makes it almost as effective as it once was 30 years ago. Modern day 7.1. My friends, that is a, oops, let me make one adjustment here to make sure. That is an 8.0 8.25 as a group. We're taking that all the way up to the 39th spot, tied with Jaws at an 8.25. It is not as good as The Wedding Singer, Uncle Buck, and Wet Hot American Summer, but it is better than Blues Brothers, Lethal Weapon, Office Space, and Raising Arizona. How do you feel about that, Sean Nage?
Better than Raising Arizona. Okay.
Yeah, but the Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
Oof, that's a hit for me. So okay.
Yeah. No, that's good there.
And
No.
it feels right to me, honestly. Like I
Uncle
feel like
Buck.
we're low, and I feel like you guys were high, kind of, and I feel like it sort of makes sense.
Uncle Buck, like I said before, should be higher than
And
this.
it was.
I do believe that. I'm glad that it is. I totally forgot about a prop that I really wanted. It's a Simple Minds "Don't You Forget About Me" poster.
That's a great one.
Right next to his door. I need to make
His
mention
room
of
is
that, guys.
dope.
His room's dope. Modeled after John Hughes' room when he was in high school.
Pretty sick.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for being here. Tune in next week. Just a movie nobody's seen called Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen that before.
We're following that up with first time announcing May of Damon. We got movies like The Talented Mr. Ripley, Rounders, Born Identity, The Departed, and a movie that only our Patreon members are getting to vote on. And if you're new to the podcast, go back this time last year, Biodome.
Yeah,
Sick.
maybe next year we'll do April of Affleck. But until then,
We don't
we'll
know.
have to deal with the day, Mom.
The Dame.
Yes, I can't wait.
Well, thanks to Brian on the controls. Upload Media Group here in Cedar Rapids. That's where we're at. Learn more at uploadmediagroup.com and check out our network, Cloud 10, cloud10.fm. That's it for us. Goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.
Look around.
Thank you.
Yeet.
I love you.
Thanks again for listening, guys. We really appreciate it. Make sure you're checking us out on YouTube here in the studio, hanging out with us live and in person in the studs. Check us out on social media. Search for Confused Breakfast at Confused Breakfast anywhere on social media. And please leave us a review. 5 stars on any platform that you're listening on. Write us a comment on Spotify or an Apple Podcast. Write us a review. We love to read them.
Go to confusedbreakfast.com as well to see the merch that we have. You can see the shirts. We have new shirts up there. It's awesome. I believe it. You can go to confusedbreakfast.com as well to see the ratings of the movies that we have covered. You can see AJ's ratings. You can see Mike's ratings. And you can see my ratings and the show's ratings overall. Goodbye. I love you.
Thanks to Brian on the controls here at Upload Media Group. Learn more at uploadmediagroup.com and learn more about our network Cloud 10 at cloud10.fm. We love you so much. Go on to the next video.